Hi everybody, I'm Grace. I work for Abley and today I'm going to be discussing how community resilience and wellbeing can be enhanced through active travel to school. I'm really passionate about improving community wellbeing, and because of this, I decided to study a Master of Urban Resilience and Renewal at the University of Canterbury with Simon as my supervisor. And so a requirement of this master's is that you have to do a community-based thesis where you work really directly with a community partner and you try to do something that is going to benefit them at the end. So I decided to work what was actually Simon's idea, with Nightstream School, who are a new school in Nightstream, which is a new subdivision out in southwest Christchurch. Yes, so Nightstream is a full primary school. It is year 0 to 8. What's going on? There we go. And it was recently opened and the land use has drastically changed. This area was previously used as a thoroughfare for people coming in from satellite cities. And it used to be, high-speed environment, people coming into the CBD every day. Now it is a subdivision of a bunch of houses, a bunch of young families who are all living in this new area, and they're all there together. So although the speed limits in this area have reduced as a result of the subdivision being developed, the driver behaviour has not. So the school zone is partly subdivided and partly it is just still fields and will eventually become houses. So the area is growing and the school role will continue to grow. The key research question that I was trying to address is how can active transport to school be encouraged in the vicinity of a new subdivision, and how can this enhance community resilience and well-being? So before engaging with the community, I just conducted a little bit of a literature review just to kind of get a background knowledge on what was going on. And the key methods of data gathering that I decided to use were focus groups with the parents and the staff members to see what was happening in the community, interviews with the parents, staff, and the children, and then also just surveying, observing the different transport modes that were happening in the community. So there were 6 different key observation locations that I looked at around the perimeter of the school to just see what kind of transport modes were being used and what were any problems that were coming out of these areas. So first, I'm going to discuss the current transport use at Nightstream School. So all of the participants in the focus groups and the interviews all perceived that private transport was the most commonly used mode of transport at Nightstream, and the observations did confirm this. However, they next thought that walking and cycling were just as common, and when actually observing the number of kids that were cycling into school, it was much lower and walking was really quite preferred. This was preferred by both the parents and the children. The kids really loved walking to school because they loved being able to socialize with their friends, all walk in at a set time, didn't have to worry about where they were going to put their bike when they got to school. The kids really didn't like wearing helmets for some reason. That was a big barrier. They didn't want to put on a helmet when hopping on their bike. So they would rather just walk the whole way. And parents preferred supervising their children if they were going to be walking to school. They were quite nervous, not about stranger danger, but about the high-speed environment. And even though it technically is low speed and a lot of the roads are 40 kilometers an hour, they were really worried about cars speeding through and their young children not being able to cross the road safely and in time. And children weren't worried about stranger danger either. One kid said that she was not worried at all because she knew that she trusted everybody in her community. She knew a parent would step in and look after her if something bad would happen. So there are a lot of key barriers to active transport, as we've discussed today. The first was the availability of adult supervision. A lot of the parents in this community both work full-time. They seem to really struggle fitting it into their morning routine to walk their child to school, walk back to their house, and then get into the CBD. There is a bus right outside Nightstream School, but this is perceived by the community to be quite unreliable, and so they didn't want to risk walking their child into school and then hopping on the bus into the CBD if the bus wasn't going to turn up. The age and maturity level of the children was another barrier. So it is a full primary school from years 0 to 8. So obviously the kids in year 8 are 13. You know, they're a lot more mature, they're older, but the little year 0 kids who are 5, they parents were a lot more apprehensive about letting their children walk to school, which is understandable. And the distance to school was another barrier, with some children having to travel 2.5 kilometers each way, which for an adult isn't too far, but for a young 5-year-old, that is quite a distance, especially before school. And the distance to the nearby high school was also a key issue. So parents, if they had a child at Night Stream, they didn't want to have to take their kid to Night Stream and then get all the way out to Hill Morton. It's not a far driving distance. That trip takes about 15 minutes between the two schools, but it's over an hour to walk. So a parent didn't want to walk. They didn't want to cycle alongside their child, and they didn't feel comfortable having their child walk the hour from the Night Stream area, you know, if they lived right by the school, to get out to Hill Morton High School once they reached year 9. But driver behavior was the key barrier, along with unsafe roads, intersections, and roundabouts. So the first road that caused a lot of problems in the community is Hoswell Junction Road. So even though this road is now down to 50 kilometers an hour in this area, the refuge islands don't line up with the crossing area through the field that gets you to the school. So kids really struggled to just walk across the road. They wanted to just go right to the field. They didn't want to walk down to the refuge island and then cross, but they were really scared to cross this road because they perceived the cars to be driving really fast, and especially if they're coming off the Southern Motorway, a lot of them will be going really fast. They're probably not going 50 kilometers an hour. And this was a really big issue for parents and children who live in the Copper Ridge part of the school zone. A lot of families live in the Longhurst area part of the school zone. And here on the map, I've pointed out the Long Night, which is a community restaurant, and it has a playground right outside it. And a lot of parents talked about how they really liked going to this restaurant at the end of the week with their friends. And in an ideal world, their kids would just walk down the road and meet them at the Long Night, but they couldn't because of Wincops Road. And they really struggled to have their kids walking across the Wincops roundabout. Children had a really hard time navigating this roundabout. They felt that cars didn't properly slow down. They didn't know whether they were going to just speed through the roundabout, whether they were going to drive at a safe speed. They had a really hard time seeing cars. So Wincops Road is a really big barrier for this community. Just this is zoomed in of the Wincops Road roundabout, and you can see it's pretty close to Night Stream School. The satellite image is a little bit out of date and the school has since been built, but the star is where the school will be. But another key intersection that actually stood out to be quite a barrier to these children was the Killarney Avenue, Richmond Avenue intersection, which is right on the perimeter of the school. And it was because of the P3 zone. So parents could pull into the P3 zone, sit there for 3 minutes, have their kids get in and out of the car and then pull out, but other children didn't know how to anticipate the driver behavior. So they had a really hard time if they were trying to cross Killarney Avenue. They didn't know whether that car sitting in the P3 zone had just got there, whether it was about to pull out. They couldn't understand what was happening, and this really freaked them out and it really scared them a lot. And I would watch children stand there for up to 5 minutes not knowing when to cross the road because they just could not predict the driver behavior. So this is the Marshes Road, Quaifs Road divide of the school community. So at the moment, a lot of children don't live south of this road. However, this area will be subdivided. It will be developed. There will be soon a lot of children living in this area, but it is also connected from Stapleton. So a lot of people who are coming from Stapleton into the CBD, they might take this route. They're driving at a high speed, and the children really felt quite scared about this intersection, and they didn't feel confident that they could cross it, especially because at present it's pretty low numbers of students that are coming in. So they're not necessarily walking in a group or with their friends. You know, it's just a few outsiders, a few stragglers that are trying to cross this road at the end of the day, and they may not have their best friend there helping them cross the road like they would on other intersections. Murphy's Road is one of the roads that a staff member at Nightstream School pointed out to me as being problematic in the future. So at present, everything to the right of Murphy's Road is just fields. The staff member thinks that in future, when houses are built in this area, it's going to be really problematic because he sees a lot of cars speeding down this road. And he thinks that it will be really challenging with the limited pedestrian crossing spaces to have children cross this road in future. So just some other barriers that aren't as transport related was weather, which I thought was really interesting. Commonly, you think that children or parents wouldn't be super keen on walking during the winter months, but the summer months were also a bit of a barrier where parents didn't want their kids walking in the really hot summer heat and getting into the classroom all hot and sweaty at the beginning of the day. It was, not a barrier that I expected, but the summer months aren't super great for walking apparently either. And another one that was not perceived is just stranger danger. They were not worried about unsafe members of their community. They loved their community. They loved everybody else in it. They knew all their neighbors. It wasn't an issue of having unsupervised travel because they were worried about their kid getting kidnapped. It was worried that they were going to get hit by a car when trying to cross the road. So some potential mitigation measures for this area. The first one is just mapping out some safe routes to school. Often walking to school, you don't take the route that you would be driven by your parents. So I just helped them map out some key areas that go through green spaces, go down quiet roads, avoid the busy Wincops Road intersection. And it just lets kids walk down these roads if they want to go down a bit of a safer area. It also links up with the proposed walking school bus route, which would let kids do that first part of the journey unsupervised on a quiet, safe road, then link up with the walking school bus and be able to go the rest of the way supervised. So, the proposed walking school bus program. This walking school bus program would have a couple of meeting points, and what it would do would be getting the kids through Wincops Road, which tends to be quite a big barrier in this area, and it would also drop them off right outside the long night. So it aligns with those parents that are wanting to be in the community centre and have their kids walk to them and meet them at the end of the week. Parents also thought that it would be great to have key roads in a 5 or 10 minute distance highlighted on a map for them so that they know that they could drive part of the way, park there, and then have their child walk up to 10 minutes, a really short distance on a safe road. So that was these maps here, and it just shows the different areas where they could park and meet their kid if they were going to be coming in from the CBD in their car. A staff member suggested that Tongariro Street, which borders the school, was quite underutilised, and they thought that it would be really great if children weren't wanting to walk the full way, to have an older kid walk them to their parents' parked car. So an older child in school, years 6 to 8, would be put in charge of walking all the little, five-year-olds down to their parents' car every single day. Would just walk them down this road, drop them off at the car. They're getting there safe. They're getting a little 5-minute walk in. It's not ideal, but it's starting that journey and starting the normalization of walking on your own to your destination. And I interviewed a parent at the school who was a traffic engineer, and he was really for pedestrianizing Killarney Avenue. He thought that this road in particular was really car-centric, and if he could go in and redo the subdivision, he would have not made this an area where people could drive. He would have made it only for walking and have kids walk through there and not feel prohibited by the P3 zone. So we've talked a lot today about the potential benefits, but I'll just highlight over them. Obviously, it's increased physical activity. That's great for your health. Improved mental well-being. If walking in this area is more normalized, children won't be as scared about some of these key intersections. If they're seeing their friends walk across with confidence, that's just going to eliminate some of that anxiety they might have going to school in the morning that, how am I going to get across this really hard roundabout? Oh, well, there's my whole class doing it too. It's not as scary. Just the relief of the local traffic congestion in the area right around the school. It gets pretty busy during the morning and the afternoon pickup. So they would just be relieved a little bit. The area is pretty, the community is pretty close. They all know each other, but it would just help to increase that social cohesion. Just increasing the maturity and the responsibility of these young students, getting them walking responsible for their own journey in the morning. It's great for that sense of responsibility. There are obviously environmental benefits and just the mitigation of future community severance and not letting these roads that are proving to be a barrier continue to be a barrier, and stopping that now while these children are young. And if they grow up and they continue to live in this community, they've gotten past that barrier and it's no longer an issue. So yeah, that's all I have. Thank you for listening.